Hello and welcome to the Daily Space for today, Wednesday, November 25th, 2020. I am your host, Dr. Pamela Gay, and most times that you see me, I'm here to put science in your brain. But today is Wednesday, and Wednesdays are meant for Rocket Roundups. Your usual host, Annie Wilson, is off taking a much-deserved day off, so I will be filling in today. So if I get things a little bit sideways, I hope you will forgive me. The facts are correct, the pronunciations may not be. All right, so without further ado, I would like to talk about Rocket Lab. On November 16th at 2:20 UTC, Rocket Lab made its 16th Electron launch from the Mahia Peninsula on the North Island of New Zealand. This launch carried 30 small payloads into orbit, including 24 0.25 unit microsatellites for swarm communications. Also on board was a pair of CubeSats called Drag Racer, designed to demonstrate a new deorbit tether technology. According to the manufacturer Tricept, the baseline spacecraft will decay in 6 to 9 years, and the spacecraft with the tether will decay in 45 days. The next spacecraft on the mission was APSS-1, a student-built spacecraft developed to determine whether ionospheric activity is related to earthquakes. Lastly on the mission was a 150 millimeter tall mass simulator in the shape of Noam Chomsky from the video game Half-Life 2. The mass simulator was made using a new metal 3D printing method by Weta Workshop, an award-winning design studio, which I have to add was also located on the North Island of New Zealand. This mass simulator has special significance. Valve Inc. CEO Gabe Newell, creator of Half-Life 2, announced that he would be donating $1 for every viewer watching Rocket Lab's official broadcast to Starship Children's Hospital in New Zealand. In the end, nearly 300,000 New Zealand dollars was raised for the hospital. As the launch progressed, several pop-ups in the style of STEAM achievements appeared on the broadcast, denoting various events like liftoff and stage separation. Now, the return to sender patch for this mission is in the shape of a postage stamp as a nod to the name of the mission. In the left corner is number 16, representing the 16th Electron launch. The patch features the Electron first stage descending under a red and white parachute into the sea. In the background, there are white clouds, a clear blue sky, and waves of gently rolling ocean. And that rocket with a parachute was because, in addition to a successful launch, Rocket Lab successfully recovered the first stage using a parachute system. This is the first time they have done this, having gathered data on previous missions with no recovery attempt. This image was posted by Rocket Lab CEO Peter Beck on his Twitter after the launch, and it shows the Electron first stage floating in the ocean with the parachute around it. During a press conference later, Beck said that the booster took quite a beating from the 5-meter swells in the ocean. Further analysis of the full condition of the booster will be produced and released later. Now, as we often do, we have a video. This one's going to run a little bit longer than normal, and as a reminder, rocket launches are loud. I'm going to let it roll a little bit longer than normal, simply because the amazing light show as this rocket passes through the clouds is kind of worth seeing.
T-minus 20 seconds and counting. T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2.
watch what happens as it passes into the clouds. This gets kind of
Stage 1 propulsion is nominal.
Entering stage 1 burnout detect mode.
And we have liftoff of Electron from Rocket Lab Launch Complex 1. We're just 50 seconds into flight, and you heard the call out on comms there that the mission is continuing nominally, so Electron will approach max Q along its trajectory, otherwise known as maximum aerodynamic pressure.
All right, so on to our next mission. Next up, on November 21st at 1717 UTC, a SpaceX Falcon 9 took off from Space Launch Complex 4 at Vandenberg Air Force Base in California, carrying Sentinel-6 Michael Freilich, an ocean mapping satellite. Vandenberg was chosen as the launch site because it is better suited for high-inclination launches than the East Coast sites. Sentinel-6 Michael Freilich had several missions taking place in parallel. Copernicus Sentinel-6 is the next radar altimetry reference mission to extend the legacy of sea surface height measurements until at least 2030. Another instrument uses the Global Navigation Satellite System radio occultation sounding technique, which analyzes changes in signals from International Global Navigation System satellites to determine atmospheric temperatures and humidity. Sentinel-6 was the 99th Falcon 9 launch. Patch description. This patch is circular, alluding to the Earth it will orbit. On top of the patch are the names of the organizations that collaborated on the satellite: NASA, JPL, NOAA, ESA, EU METSAT, and the EU. In the center of the patch is a depiction of the satellite with its gold body, blue solar panels, and the center-mounted radio dish. On the bottom of the patch are white outlines showing waves, which the satellite is intended to measure. Now, once again, we have a warning that rocket launches are loud. Oh, we also have apparently random comments. There we go.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. And liftoff of Sentinel-6 Michael Freilich, continuing a legacy of ocean observation and international collaboration to benefit all humanity.
All right. And as this is SpaceX, where things take off, quite often things also land.
Have a clear shot of it coming down onto the pad. The other thing we're waiting for, and we're making sure that we keep track of, is the engine cutoff of stage 2, and we're going to call that out. Here it comes. There it is.
Oh my goodness.
Coming in at an angle and just straightening out. What do you think, Jesse? That's amazing.
Oh my goodness. I might cry right now. This is so incredible. Every time I see this, it's just
slowing down so perfectly.
Perfect.
Just hovering. There's the sonic booms we talked about, and touchdown.
Oh my We heard that.
I will never get tired of that. I'm not sure any of us will. But that's not all we had. On Monday, November 23rd at 2030 UTC, a Long Mark 6 sent Chang'e 5 on its way to the moon. The launch took place from LP-101 at the Huaqian SLS, the southernmost launch facility in China. The goal of the mission is to land a rover on the Mons Rumker region of the Oceanus Procellarum region of the moon on November 27th. They're going to retrieve 2 kilograms of samples from the surface and transfer the samples to a return vehicle in orbit around the moon that will then bring the samples back to Earth. The entire mission will take around 3 weeks from launch to sample return on December 16th or 17th. If the mission is successful, this will be the first time samples have been returned from the moon to Earth in over 40 years. So here we have what we think is the official mission patch. It might not be, we're not sure, but it is so cute. I'm going to share it anyways, but I'm not going to linger on it. I just need to add the cuteness to your life. We do, as always, of course, need to remind you, rocket launches are loud.
起飞时间：动4时3度分2秒，发动6毫秒。
This is a huge rocket because it's carrying so much hardware.
程序转弯。阵地112跟踪正常。
And finally, we have last night's SpaceX launch. This was the 100th launch of a Falcon 9 rocket, and it took place at 2:13 UTC on November 25th from the SLC-40 launch pad at Cape Canaveral Air Force Station. It also marked another couple of firsts. This was the 7th use of a Falcon 9 first stage, and the first time SpaceX has launched 4 times in 1 month. The first stage, B-1049.7, successfully landed on the drone ship Of Course I Still Love You, just under 9 minutes after launch. This marks the 67th successful landing of a Falcon 9. It successfully deployed its payload of 60 Starlink satellites into orbit around 15 minutes after launch. This was the 23rd SpaceX launch of 2020. Now, of course, we have more video, and as always, just to remind you again, rocket launches are still loud.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition and liftoff.
And it wouldn't be SpaceX if there wasn't also a landing. So here's the landing.
Stage 1, landing leg deploy. Stage 1, nominal landing confirmed.
All right. So to wrap things up, here is a running tally of a few spaceflight statistics for the current year. Toilets currently in space, 5. There are 2 installed on the ISS, 1 on the Crew Dragon, 1 on the Soyuz, and 1 waiting to be installed. Toilets burned up in space so far, 3. Total satellites humans put into orbit, 1,171, including those launched from other in-orbit craft such as the ISS. Total satellites from launches, 1,140. And total Starlinks just this year, 833. Total 2020 orbital launch attempts, 98. And this unfortunately included 10 failures. Annie keeps track of orbital launches by where they launched from, also known as spaceport. Here's that breakdown. China, 35, USA, 33, Kazakhstan, 7, New Zealand, 6, Russia, 5, French Guiana, 5, Japan, 3, Iran, 2, India, 1, Israel, 1. Your random space fact for the week comes from community member Hexacosacoron, and he has figured out that a cubic attoparsec is about 1 cup. So if you want to measure things out for your Thanksgiving dinner, you can actually do it in cubic parsecs. This is a fact, people. This is a fact. All right, so that rounds out our show for today. Thank you all for listening. I have been your host, Dr. Pamela Gay, and I had nothing to do with the writing of today's script. Rocket Roundup was put together by an amazing host of humans. They include Annie Wilson, Gordon Dewey, community member Kerbal01, Beth Johnson, Allie Pelfrey, and I'm sure we've forgotten somebody who helped. Our web content will be produced by Beth Johnson. The audio and video will be edited by Ali Pelfrey, and I'm the executive producer. The Daily Space is a product of the Planetary Science Institute, a 501c3 nonprofit dedicated to exploring our solar system and beyond. We are here thanks to the generous contributions of people like you. It's 2020, and we know there are so many people out there struggling right now. And we're so grateful that those of you who are doing okay are finding it in your hearts to help make sure that all of my staff is still doing okay. Thanks to you and your contributions, the people behind this show are going to have an okay Thanksgiving and Christmas. And I can't tell you just how grateful I am for that. Anyways, thank you for everything you do. Thank you. This has been today's Daily Space.